Smith & Wesson Model 65-2. Howdy y'all and welcome back. So I picked this up in 2009. I was at the local indoor shooting range with my wife, and we were walking out the door, and I did that thing where I'm like, let me just go check the used gun counter real quick and make sure there isn't anything I need. And there was one of these, not this one, but one just like it, with a $350 price tag on it. And so I flagged the gentleman over, and I'm like, what's the deal with that? He was like, oh, we got a whole box of them in the back. And I was like, yes, and so he brought it out, and they were literally just like a open top box. Just there were like 10 of them just banging around on each other. And so I sorted through, and I ended up picking this one. Bought a box of 38 Special, went right back into the range, and hung a target at 7 yards, pulled the hammer back, and dropped the best bullseye I have ever shot with a pistol ever in my whole life, and was instantly in love. The double action was surprisingly stout. It was not as broken in as you would expect from a K-frame from the late 70s. So I get home, take it apart, and the inside was immaculate. I don't know that it was ever fired. I mean, I'm sure it was, but barely. And so I just cheated a little and ordered a set of Wilson combat springs. And so that's what's in here still. Much better double action now. I have a set of snap caps in here, so you don't have to freak out. But there's your double action. And the single action, it's just, if you know old K-frame Smiths, you know they are universally fantastic in single action. In fact, I'll even throw, yep, 2.5 pounds every time. It's just the single action on these, they're just wonderful. So if you're not well versed in old Smiths, or even I guess modern Smiths, use the same system, but there are J frames, that's your small snubs, 2 or maybe 3-inch barrel, 5-shot cylinder, the little guys. Then you step up in size to the K frame, and then the big ones are an N frame, or now they have the X frame also, but like the big Dirty Harry 44 Magnum, that's an N frame. The K frame kind of fits most people's hands. They're not huge, but they're big enough to be very comfortable to shoot. They've got some mass to them. And so if you are familiar with a Model 10, possibly the most ubiquitous revolver ever, carried for decades by law enforcement, usually in a 4-inch configuration, think of a Model 10 in stainless. That would be a Model 64. And then you throw a heavy barrel on it, beefier forcing cone, longer cylinder to accommodate 357 Magnums, and you've got a Model 65. That's roughly how that works. So let's take this guy over to the table and get a closer look. All right, so here's a closer look. And if I get real close, you will start to see some of its true finish. I did not polish to the point of removing all of its past life. So it has a nice nickel-looking mirror polish at a distance. But as we get up close, you see the little micro swirls and scratches in there. And there's the Texas Department of Corrections rack number. And so I mentioned that I pulled this out of a box of these, and out of all of the examples that were in there, this was the only one where it did not have any wear or chips or gouges on the hammer or the trigger. All of them had some of this finish missing, so it would have little black pits. And so although the overall condition was not as nice as a couple of other ones, that made it worth, because I knew as soon as I looked at them, I was like, well, I'm going to polish that. So, so that's why I picked this one. And when we talk about old Smiths, The term pinned and recessed always comes up. That is the pin right there, and it literally pins the barrel into the frame. And when we talk about recessed, what we mean is we are talking about at the back of the cylinder here, that little extra notch that's taken out of each chamber all the way around. And what that does is it allows the rim of the case to fit flush like that. And when you close it up, you have virtually no daylight showing at the back of the cylinder, as opposed to, see, you've got a little gap there, and there are the back of the rims, or the rims of the cases. And what does that actually do functionally? Well, not really that much. It's a piece of, it's an attention to detail that was paid in the manufacturing of these that they did away with. And I think anytime a product is made with extra attention to detail, it makes consumers like that product more, even if it doesn't necessarily functionally really do all that much. So pinned and recessed, it's just extra groovy because we say it is. So also the heavy barrel. I don't have an example of a 4-inch tapered barrel on me, but I can roll in a still photograph right here. So on the top there, you've got a Model 10 4-inch with the tapered barrel, and below it is this exact gun. So heavy barrel or bull barrel. And it's just like it sounds. It's a little thicker, a little heavier, and does tame a little bit of recoil. And I'm pretty sure that all 65s will have the heavy barrel. Some Model 10s do come with the heavy barrel, but most of them are going to have that tapered barrel like the one in the still photo there. So that pretty much gets it for the closer look, and I'll see you back up top. All right, so that's it. I think every gun nerd should have at least one revolver, and if you're only going to have one revolver, this would be a great one to have. They're just tried and true. They're tough. You don't have to baby them. They're not finicky. They'll feed pretty much any garbage ammo you put in them. And they're great if you have a first-time shooter or somebody who's just a little, timid about running a semi-auto. Get them started on this guy. You've got the option of 38 Special, or you can get crazy and do some 357 Magnum when you want to. They're just great, great guns. And you can still find them sort of-ish out there at sort of-ish affordable prices. And if you do, snag it. You won't regret it. That's all I got. Until next time, be easy, y'all.